Welcome to a special edition of Beat the Odds. It's college football season. Michigan, TCU, Georgia, Ohio State. See why those and other college bowl games are a golden opportunity for the smart bettors out there. Beat the Odds starts right now.
From our Las Vegas studios, this is Beat the Odds, sponsored by Superbook Westgate Las Vegas.
All right, here we go. Welcome to Beat the Odds. Welcome inside our Las Vegas studio. I'm Dave Hall.
And I'm Mariah Janos. We've got a special edition of Beat the Odds today. We've spent months on the show focusing on pro football, but today we're giving the college bowls some love. There are some great games on tap.
Yeah, of course, we have the two big daddies that will determine who plays in the title game, but a lot of times it's the smaller bowls where bettors can find some value out there. So coming up, Fat Jack and Teddy will break down the difference between betting on pro and college football, and why the college game has more opportunity if you know where to look.
Our buddy Brandon Marshall played in several bowl games, including 2 in Hawaii. Lucky guy. He tells us the mindset of teams that win these games. Plus, I'll take you inside the Superbook Westgate Las Vegas as they get ready for a huge weekend of football. I'll see you guys in a few minutes. Dave?
All right, thanks, Mariah. And in honor of today's show, I busted out my college professor vest today.
You look great. By the way, Happy New Year.
Right?
Turning the page.
2023 already.
Exactly.
Jeez.
Excited for that.
We'll get there.
Oh, you don't want to make that jump yet, Ted?
It's not there yet.
All right, well, I wanted to ask you guys off the top. You know, most of the show we've talked about pro football. Do you guys have a preference, college or pro football?
Whatever I'm hot at that given time.
Perfect answer.
Anymore it's come to that, it started college for me, for sure. I kind of found my groove early with college and then had to work up to the other stuff. So I think it's easier overall. It's gotten a little more difficult, as we're going to talk about, with all the different changes in the landscaping of college football.
Well, Teddy, you get us kicked off in terms of betting pro versus college. What are some of the differences?
Sure, because there are significant differences between pro betting and college betting. The markets adjust much faster in the pros than in college. So in college, you can ride teams for longer before the markets catch up. And under the radar teams in college stay under the radar for extended period of time. One of the teams we're going to talk about later on today's show is a classic example of that. Public teams in college are going to attract significant support. Those are the teams that many of you are familiar with, the teams that are in the top 5 or the top 10 that are getting all the national TV games. Those are going to get significant support regardless of how good they are. But never forget, the lines are set to beat wise guys, not to beat the public. In college football, that stands paramount.
Yeah.
And Jack?
Yeah, I was going to say it's basically because you can look at volume of money. Pro football has the most volume of money, then you go college football, then college basketball, there's more teams. So opportunities for guys like us to take advantage of those numbers on some of those games that the general public might not be looking at. There's some value there. So, yeah, the lines are set to beat sharper players in college football.
Yeah. And a lot of times it comes down to which teams are ready to play and which teams want to be there, right?
Well, sure. I mean, you talk about the difference between pro football and college football. Let's talk about the difference between regular season betting and bowl season betting. Talent matters the most in the regular season. In bowl season, motivation, probably the #1 factor. We'll talk about some of the ways you can find out which teams are excited about being there and not so much. Basically, the transfer portal. Transfer portal news gives you lots of good hints as to which teams are excited, their players are sticking around, versus teams not quite as motivated for the bowl games. Let's see a lot more guys transferring out. And of course, note those coaching changes and coordinator changes, maybe every bit as important, if not more so, than head coaching changes. Read the quotes to find out how the players are reacting to the instability around them.
NIL, transfer portal, I've changed the game for sure. The grass is always greener someplace, and a lot of these kids are looking for it. You've really got to be on top of that.
Yeah, have you noticed a difference in terms of the betting market since the NIL and the transfer portal has become such a big part of the game?
Certainly when it comes to regular season, absolutely. You know, you see the team's power ratings jump a lot more in the off season because of all the transfers. But when it comes to the end of the regular season, to the beginning of bowl season, things are pretty well where we saw they were a month ago.
Yeah, and I don't think the general public knows how to handle a lot of that information. And what we do get a lot of time are overreactions based on news. We'll have a guy transferring out or somebody may not play, and you'll see the lines jump around. There were a couple bowl games where a quarterback decided he's going to transfer, but he's going to play in the bowl game. So a lot of those type situations, you can take advantage of the public's reaction to this information.
All right, well, we're going to dive deeper into some of the bowl games you guys are going to be watching over the next few days coming up here in the next couple segments. It is going to be an epic weekend here in Vegas. I mean, seriously, you guys should try to come. New Year's, we've got a bunch of big shows and a monster weekend of football. Mariah joins us from the Superbook Westgate, Las Vegas.
Thanks, Dave. I'm here with Jay Cornegay, EVP of Superbook Operations here at the Westgate, Las Vegas. Now, Jay, it is officially bowl season. How important are bowl games to sportsbooks?
They're vital because it takes place during a very slow time of the year. December is one of our slowest months of the year. So to have these bowl games take place pretty much every day once they start rolling is very critical for the month of December for us. So we're happy to see the bowl season.
Now, taking a look at the college football playoff games, how much action are you guys seeing on those already?
Yeah, a lot. Those two games have created a lot of interest already, a lot of stir, a lot of talk. Georgia opened up at -6.5. We expect it to go to 7. And then Michigan opened 9. We had some underdog money come in on TCU. It dropped it all the way down to 7.5. But I do expect more Michigan money to come in, drive that thing back up to -9. But a lot of interest in those two games.
Yeah, we'll see if TCU can rep the Big 12 well in the coming weekend. For bettors who may be wanting to put money on those bowl games for the first time, is there a different approach to betting the college game versus professional football?
A little bit. I mean, the information out there on college, you have to dig a little deeper to find it. But in the pro side, you know, it's readily available. You don't have to dig that deep to find all that information on the pro teams. But the college, you do. So those that are looking to bet on the college games and want to find out some information, you're just going to have to dig a little deeper.
All right, thank you so much, Dave. We'll send it back to you in studio.
All right, thanks, Mariah. Our buddy Brandon Marshall played in a bunch of bowl games. He has some fun stories and also one story of what not to do. Plus, Teddy is back with his #1 factor in betting these bowls.
As we head to break, which college team has won the most national championships? The answer, Yale. Yale has won 18 football national championships. 14 of them came before 1900, and their last one was in 1927, so I think they're due.
Beat the Odds is sponsored by Superbook Westgate, Las Vegas.
The Westgate Las Vegas Resort and Casino. Legendary. Vegas. Fun. Enjoy Westgate's classic gaming and entertainment. Savor fine dining. And experience the world's largest sportsbook, Westgate Superbook. It's all at the Westgate Las Vegas Resort and Casino.
Coming at you from Las Vegas, the sports betting capital of the world.
You love our show. Now you can get even more from BeatTheOddsTV.com. Betting lines, trends, and analysis of the big games.
The difference between a bad beat and a big win.
The interviews, the stories, plus a unique spin on sports history. Your ticket to in-depth content as seen on the show is all at BeatTheOddsTV.com. Check it out today.
Welcome back to Beat the Odds. Can you answer this trivia question? From the 1930s through the 60s, college All-Stars played a game against a pro team. During that span, how many wins did the All-Stars have? The answer, 9. And in 1958, the college boys toppled Detroit 35-19. And that's after Detroit had won the championship the year before.
I like that factoid. You know what? I'm going to ask Teddy here in a second what would happen if that game was played this year. First, though, scan that QR code on your screen. It will take you to our website, BeatTheOddsTV.com. So, Teddy, let me ask you. College All-Stars right now against the worst team in pro football, let's just say Houston. What would the spread on that game be?
Probably in the range of 3 to 4 touchdowns.
Wow, that high, huh?
It's not going to be close. Even with an elite team with a bunch of #1 draft choices, elite college team, the weakest pro team, everybody's bigger, everybody's stronger, everybody's more experienced. Not expecting it to be close.
Just a huge gap compared to the factoid Mariah gave us, from 50, 60 years ago.
Sure. I mean, it's a different world,
of course,
when it comes to pro football players today compared to in the 50s and 40s and 30s.
All right, so let's dive into this college bowl season and some more factors you look into in terms of a value that you try to find in these games.
Sure. I mean, let's do a little bowl season primer right here. A few hints to get you pointed in the right direction. And let's start with this. The very worst point spread teams in the regular season tend to be the best point spread teams in bowl season. Why? There's extra value, and value is real. Teams that don't have betting bandwagons don't get a lot of support in the betting markets. And those bad point spread teams that cost everyone money all season, they tend to be bet on this time of year.
All right.
Motivation, the number one factor. You'll hear this anywhere and everywhere. It's not about talent. Far more important than talent is how excited teams are about being in their particular location. That search for respect. Brandon Marshall talked about it earlier. I agree wholeheartedly. Note conference strengths early on. If a conference is getting clocked early, this is just like the big dance in March. If you can identify which conferences are under or overvalued, you can make money with them throughout the course of the bowl season. And let's not forget, last but not least, those rhythm offenses, the finesse offenses, not the teams with defense and running, but the teams that are a little bit fancier and trickier. There tends to be affected by a long layoff. Those offenses may not be in midseason rhythm this time of the year.
All right, Teddy, you were just talking about motivation. Motivation has never been a problem for this man right here, Brandon Marshall. You played 4 years of college, and you played in how many bowl games?
4 years, 4 bowl games, 3 losses.
Oh, but hey, you got one.
Absolutely.
You got a big one.
Yeah, a big one. We beat Boston College, but we lost to Maryland, Southern Miss. And,
That's
and
all
SMU.
right.
Yeah,
That's
I mean,
all right.
look, good teams. We were able to make it there, but
Sure.
we were able to compete in some of them, except the SMU bowl game. It was terrible.
That's all right. Bad memories. So how do you balance that? You played in 4 of these, the balance of having a good time and fun and finding that focus to actually play the game.
Yeah, it's tough. Look, we're all teenagers, so 17 to 20, right, 21. So it's tough because when you're in the city, it's a different city. I played in 2 Hawaii Bowls, so we're having a great time in Honolulu. We're enjoying it, and sometimes you can get caught up in the festivities and in the parties and hanging out. We actually had 2 players get sent home because they got in trouble from the Hawaii Bowl. It was crazy.
You also say, Teddy mentioned it earlier about searching for respect. We were talking off camera about this. Maybe a small program like yours was at Nevada wanted to take down some of these big boys.
100%. So that's why it helps with the energy, right? It's infectious because, we have the chip on the shoulder. We're the underdog, so we feel like, okay, you know what? We're going to show the world that we can compete on this level with these bigger conferences because we weren't recruited by them, right?
Sure.
We weren't recruited by them, so we feel slighted just naturally. So it's almost like an extra, chip on our shoulder, an extra thing to get us up for that bowl game.
And your squad there in Nevada finished that season that you won that bowl game 11th in the country.
Yeah.
Best season in program history.
Best season in program history. We beat Boise State. They were number 4 in the country. We were number 19 at the time, and then we ended up beating Boston College. And we just had the greatest season. I think we had 3,000-yard rushers that season, or maybe 2, but it was just crazy. Colin Kaepernick, Vital. We had a squad, and we had 5 draft picks. Actually, I'm sorry, maybe 7 draft picks from that team alone. So, best program in Nevada history.
Yeah, and that game maybe helped buoy some of those guys to the draft. All right, Brandon Marshall, thank you, sir. Well, Michigan, TCU, Georgia, Ohio State. Jack's going to break down the numbers and which of those 4 has been a great bet this season. Plus, Mariah is back with some of the top draft prospects from these bowl games and who could soon be making a splash on Sundays.
As we take a timeout, in 1942, the granddaddy of them all was not played in Pasadena. Where was it played? The answer, Durham, North Carolina. The game was moved over fears of an attack on the West Coast following the attack of Pearl Harbor the previous year.
The Westgate Las Vegas Resort and Casino. Legendary. Vegas. Fun. Enjoy Westgate's classic gaming and entertainment. Savor fine dining. And experience the world's largest sportsbook, Westgate Superbook. It's all at the Westgate Las Vegas Resort and Casino.
Welcome back to Beat the Odds. Which Power 5 conference has not won a college football playoff game? The answer, the Big 12. Oklahoma has appeared in the college football playoff 4 times, but has lost every semifinal game.
Obviously, TCU would love to change that this year. Hey, welcome back to the show, filmed every week just a stone's throw from the Las Vegas Strip. Scan that QR code and get educated at our website, beattheoddstv.com. All right, Jack is back. Let's start right there with TCU. Great story, great moxie. People love their quarterback. Can they hang with Michigan?
Yeah, and Mariah's trivia is exactly spot on. I think conferences matter a lot this time of year when you're talking about getting to the end and the best teams. And my hypothesis with it is that I do not believe that the conference with Michigan and Ohio State is good enough to have two teams at that level. It'd be like if Teddy and I woke up and found ourselves in a rap battle. And we ended up going against people who'd never listened to the radio before. We might win the rap battle, but it doesn't mean we're any good at rap. So we're not good at that. We just beat some people that were worse than us at something. I think there's a chance that both of those teams.
Are we going to do that on the show next week?
I think that should be coming. Yeah, I mean,
okay.
That's a sweep. They sweep still. I'm not sure if they do. We'll go ahead and fire it in there.
Save it for a special show.
Exactly. But
Perfect.
I think both of these teams, we're not getting any value with them for sure because their numbers look great. They had a great year, but there's a chance that they cannibalized each other within the conference and then lost to each other, to where it's a little like when you hear about teams having two quarterbacks. The old adage is you probably don't have any quarterbacks.
Right.
I think there's a chance, and at this level, you can't win with that formula. Back to TCU, you're exactly right. This team's full of a bunch of dogs. 9-3-1 against the spread. Have a bunch of transfer portal guys that were underappreciated where they were their previous years. They do nothing but outperform the market. They were a team that wasn't expected much preseason within their conference, but they've done nothing but win against a pretty good Big 12. So I think that this is a good spot with them. There's certainly some value. The other game we're talking about, Georgia, Ohio State. Ryan Day not good against ranked opponents as it relates to covering the number. So I think that Ohio State, again, my theory is that that conference with Ohio State and Michigan is overrated. They're not going to perform as well as the market believes. And I do believe Georgia has obviously been battle tested. I keep going back to the game with Georgia and Tennessee. When Tennessee looked like they had no business in the game, Georgia really looked like they had been there and done that. I think Georgia takes care of business as well.
Yeah, and that Kirby Smart number there against the spread against ranked teams speaks to your point. All right, thank you, Jack. Well, these bowl games will be packed full of future pros. Mariah is taking a look at some of the guys who will soon be playing on Sundays. Mariah?
Well, whether you're a diehard college football fan or not, bowl games are always a great opportunity to get familiar with some of the top talent we will see coming through the draft in April. So I went through and picked out some names for us to watch for. Let's start off with the college football playoff games. Georgia versus Ohio State. Georgia's got themselves a true dog on their interior defensive line with Jalen Carter, 6'3", 310 pounds. Yeah, you don't want this guy coming at your quarterback, and the best way to avoid that is taking him off the board ASAP, which is why he is projected to be taken at number 2 overall. Now, on the other side of the ball, Ohio State quarterback C.J. Stroud has really come into his own this season, leading one of the most dynamic offenses in college football. He holds the OSU record for passing yards in a single game with 573. Taking a look at the other semifinal game in Michigan versus TCU, Michigan's got themselves one of the top cornerbacks in the nation, DJ Turner. He'll shut down any wide receiver one that he comes across. And speaking of receivers, have y'all seen TCU's Quentin Johnston? If you haven't, watch this game and watch him because he's expected to be the first wideout selected. Now, the bowl game between Southern California and Tulane will be fun to watch because USC's got themselves the Heisman winner, Caleb Williams, who's basically Patrick Mahomes combined with Jalen Hurts, a true wizard. And the guy he's connecting with, receiver Jordan Addison, not half bad, projected to go number 13 overall. Some other notable players in the upcoming bowl games: LSU's B.J. Ojulari, Mississippi State's Emmanuel Forbes, and Illinois' Devon Witherspoon. Just a few guys to zero in on that could make your game viewing a little more entertaining. So happy bowl season, everyone.
All right, good stuff. Thanks, Mariah. As always, we're going to finish the show big. Jack and Teddy will have their top picks, plus the wheel of keeping it real. And today, the wheel is just mean. It's going to reveal who among us had the lowest college GPA. Not cool, wheel. Not cool at all.
And did you know Dave George's original mascot was a goat? Georgia football started the tradition of bringing a live mascot to a game in 1893. The goat lived at the university president's home, and he fed him cornmeal, mush, molasses, and beer. Sounds like a typical college diet to me.
Coming at you from Las Vegas, the sports betting capital of the world.
You love our show. Now you can get even more from bettors.tv.com. Betting lines, trends, and analysis of the big games.
The difference between a bad beat and a big win.
The interviews, the stories, plus a unique spin on sports history. Your ticket to in-depth content as seen on the show is all at bettors.tv.com. Check it out today.
Everybody, welcome back to Beat the Odds inside our Las Vegas studio. As always, we're going to finish up with some top picks. Jack, get us started.
Yeah, comfortable. It's like old school. We're going back to college to give a free play. Penn State, Utah. I believe there's going to be a lot more points than the general public believes in this game. You a lot of times will get defenses that will rule after the layoff, but honestly, Penn State's been going over the total when they play pretty good teams. I mean, their games have gone under have been against bad teams, so they've been able to control things offensively against the bad teams to keep it under. More points when they play better teams. Utah certainly fits that mold, and they've been going over their total in spite of the fact that their point total this year averages about 60. So they go over more times than not. This total is down in the low 50s. I'll go over the total in Penn State, Utah.
All right, Teddy, how about you?
Well, let's talk about Tulane and USC. And look, this has been the best season in modern Tulane history. It really has. This team is thrilled to be here. USC?
Is USC?
Not so much, perhaps. You know, they came up short of their playoff goal. They're traveling. I'm not convinced we're going to see USC's best game in this one. Of course, Heisman winner Caleb Williams, questionable, very questionable. The early reports, he's not going to be able to play, which means you have a team that isn't excited to be there, and they're playing without their star quarterback, and it's a team that's thrilled to be there. Yeah, I like the dog in this one.
Motivation was a big thread throughout this entire show, and that's point one right there of what you're talking about.
Big time.
Yeah. All right, now it's time for the wheel of keeping it real. The wheel it's just mean this week, you guys. Let me just apologize now. It's our 5 heads on a Vegas-style slot machine. In honor of today's College Bowl special, the wheel will reveal who among us had the lowest college GPA.
Okay.
Let's spin it. Here we go. I wonder who it's going to land on. I mean, I have a thought, and yep.
Midterm grades on this show were not great. I think that just falls in line with how college went. I mean, I sludged through, but finally got to the end.
I wasn't the best college student either, so I don't know. Teddy, you probably were.
I wasn't, and I'm surprised. You know, nobody asked me my GPA. I'll take the under.
Listen, this is not going to be pretty, Teddy. I should be a doctor right now. This is much college I went to.
I was on the 7-year plan myself.
Yeah, so was I, literally.
We found our niche, though, right? Eventually, it all works out.
We ended up all together.
That's right.
Aww, happy holiday.
Hey, it's been a great year, guys. Next time we're on, it's going to be 2023.
Yeah, excited about the new year. It's been a good start.
Yeah, so, hey, big thanks to Teddy, Jack, Brandon, Mariah, all of you guys watching from home. I'm Dave Hall. Good luck. Happy New Year. And we'll see you guys again next week in 2023.